for the Mega Millions and I don't win, I didn't get a whole lot of dopamine from that, right? But let's say I bought one ticket for the Mega Millions and I won $50. Well, for me, with my, I'm going to say it, and I don't know if anybody else agrees with it, but I am addicted to dopamine. So I don't think I have an addictive personality, but I have ADHD. I don't have enough dopamine on my own. We're a lot like that, especially drinkers. You deplete your own natural ability to make dopamine. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. But so what we do is, so you win the $50 on the Mega Millions ticket and you're like, cool, let me go reinvest this. That's me because now this is free money. It's not even mine. And I go and buy 50 tickets and I only get $20 back out of it. I go spend 20 and now I make 80. That dopamine's going all over the damn place. I'm getting excited because every time I'm doing something, I may have lost, but now I've got $20. It's still free money. I can go spend it again. And now I'm creating a cycle where I'm getting dopamine hits based on numbers. People do it with shopping. People do it with sex. They do it with porn. They do it with, you can do it with anything. You can do it with video games. But the amount of times you're going to expose yourself to the experience of gambling or the experience of getting those hits of dopamine from compulsive shopping is going to tell you, and you're going to notice, am I doing it more frequently? Am I spending more time thinking about it, more time doing this? Am I exposing myself to that, like, because you don't know if you're going to win. Every time you spin the machine, you don't know if you're going to hit a huge jackpot for a quarter or if it's going to be, you lose $50 while you're playing a quarter at a time. So not knowing when the dopamine's going to hit is also another thing that draws people to keep going, keep going, keep going. And so that's how you can find people addicted to gambling. And you're like, how did that happen? But it's very similar to how it would work for a porn addiction, a shopping addiction, alcohol addiction. And so when you're at the end of your line with alcohol and you're like, how come I can't just leave it behind? Well, now you're dependent on the dopamine as well. Your body's used to getting these chemicals, but you've also been giving yourself this dopamine with alcohol that you're no longer making on your own. The normal things that used to provide dopamine for you provide nothing anymore in comparison to the big rush of dopamine you get from alcohol. Anyway, all that to say, I wanted to tie in the dopamine for this more sciencey aspect of it because it really ties really well into that too. So sorry, guys.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the dopamine rush even a lot of times comes in anticipation of that drink, in anticipation of what's going to happen when I spin the wheel or play blackjack or hit the slot machine button. And like you're talking about there, right? It all ties into it. And as a society, we have been flooded with like dopamine, in whether it's scrolling through our phone, constant, so everything's at our fingertips now. And so we're always constantly craving. Every single one of us is looking for that dopamine rush because we've gotten way too much of it flooded into our system. And this is part of the reason why when we stop drinking, we go from a really big high to a crash like that because that dopamine is no longer there and it sucks. We have this big void of dopamine that we used to getting flooded with, and it takes a while to level out. And even after you've been alcohol free for a while, it's still there's part of our brain that still craves that massive flood, that massive high from it. And if we don't find things that hit it close enough, that's why it brings people back to it a lot of times. So I mean, there's a whole sort of stuff that we could go down that rabbit hole with. But yeah, I mean, it really is interesting. So whether it is gambling or obviously drinking, if you're listening to this podcast, if it's eating, if it's shopping, whatever the addiction is, that's what's going on. And just like, the person down the street doesn't have a shopping addiction and you may,